the Prime Minister and the State Secretary and all of the other Norwegians crammed into that sweaty little car with them. Very safe travels. And then there are the folks who are trying to get the heck out of Norway. British actor John Cleese was in Oslo to do a TV show. When the Icelandic volcano started doing what volcanoes do, he could not fly back to Britain, and all the trains were full, so Mr. Cleese reportedly hired a cab to take him to Brussels in Belgium. That's a 950-mile cab ride through Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium. It reportedly cost him over $5,000. Little known fact about John Cleese, he is one of the celebrities who voice those turn-by-turn driving directions for the TomTom GPS device. How awesome would it be if his cab driver had the John Cleese TomTom GPS, and then John Cleese had to listen to himself give directions all the way from Oslo to Belgium, saying things like this.
Bear right, beaver left.
For 15 hours. Yeah, that might get old. Mr. Cleese reportedly hopes to catch a train in Belgium and be home sometime tomorrow afternoon, whereupon I really want to know how it all went. John Cleese, please call. Please.
Your testimony in the Alito nomination, I had not recalled the intensity of your remarks. You said at that time, quote, Judge Alito's record envisions an America where police may shoot and kill an unarmed boy to stop him from running away with a stolen purse, where federal agents may point guns at ordinary citizens during a raid, even after no sign of resistance, where the FBI may install a camera where you sleep on the promise that they won't turn it on unless an informant is in the room, where a black man may be sentenced to death by an all-white jury for killing a white man, absent, say, multiple regression analysis showing discrimination, and where police may search what a warrant permits and then some. Mr. Chairman, I humbly submit this is not the America we know, nor is it the America we aspire to be. Close quote.
That was Republican Senator Jefferson Beauregard Sessions of Alabama reminding Goodwin Liu, who is himself now a judicial nominee, what Mr. Liu said at Samuel Alito's confirmation hearing back in 2006. That particular quote was the conclusion of 17 pages of written testimony submitted by Mr. Liu, which detailed and dissected Judge Alito's record to build up to that summary. Mr. Liu is now nominated to serve as a federal appeals court judge. At his confirmation hearing, Senate Republicans went after him for what he wrote about Justice Alito.
I see it as very vicious and emotionally and racially charged, very intemperate, and to me it calls into question your ability to approach and characterize people's positions in a fair and judicious way.
Racially charged? Goodwin Liu? Really? Here's why that charge might sound familiar.
Many of Judge Sotomayor's public statements suggest that she may indeed allow or even embrace decision-making based on her biases and prejudices.
Already prejudiced against one of the parties. Allow biases and personal preferences.
The wise Latina woman quote.
A wise Latina.
Your wise Latina comment.
Justice Sotomayor has said she accepts that her opinions, sympathies, and prejudices will affect her rulings.
Or prejudice. That, of course, was from last summer during the confirmation hearing of President Obama's first Supreme Court nominee, Sonia Sotomayor. This summer will be the nomination hearing for President Obama's second Supreme Court nominee. We don't yet know who that is, but Goodwin Liu's confirmation hearing to an appeals court today may very well have been the dress rehearsal. Joining us now is Jonathan Turley, professor of constitutional law at George Washington University. Professor Turley, thanks for coming on the show. It's always nice to see you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Do you think this was a dress rehearsal for the Supreme Court nomination battle?
Oh, I think it was. I think it actually began with the trashing of Dawn Johnson, who just withdrew from being head of the Office of Legal Counsel. And this was a position that she was barred from simply because she spoke out against torture. And now we're seeing Professor Liu, who's facing this type of opposition. And it's really startling because this is obviously a brilliant individual, someone who could add considerable intellectual depth to this court. And you wonder what's going to happen to our judiciary if we continue in this toxic environment. You know, when Michael McConnell was put on the court during the Bush years, a very conservative law professor, many of us applauded that. Even though I disagree entirely with Michael McConnell's views, he brought a great philosophical depth to the 10th Circuit. So did Richard Posner and Frank Easterbrook, who were both given not qualified or just simply qualified ratings by the ABA. They are brilliant jurists, and while they are conservative, they've added greatly to the fabric of our court system. We have too few of those people. And the question is, when are we going to have wiser minds prevail again in the Senate the way that it used to, when people would say, come on, you know, we want smart people. And this guy is clearly someone who is off the charts in terms of intellect.
In terms of not only Goodwin-Liu's nomination, but also the Supreme Court nomination to come, it seems like Republicans really felt like they claimed a scalp with Dawn Johnson. They really pounded their chest, and conservative groups really pounded their chest over her withdrawing her nomination for the Office of Legal Counsel. There seems to be quite a lot of hyperbole and puffery going on in the opposition to Liu as well. The more room that they take up by bragging about their power at this point, doesn't that mean the Democrats have less room to maneuver unless they sort of start flexing their muscles a little too?
Well, you know, it's funny to watch the Democrats at this. You know, at one point, Chairman Leahy he said, you know, we voted for many of your nominees because they assured us that they would be unbiased, even though they were very conservative. And I really expected you guys to do the same. And there was sort of a long pause of silence that followed that. You know, the fact is that the GOP is ramping up. They're resurgent in a lot of ways. They often turn to judicial nominations as part of this sort of personality-driven politics that we live in, either to deify or to demonize people. But there's no question. In fact, one of the senators today made direct reference to the fact that this nomination is being shaded by the upcoming Supreme Court fight. And it's clear that the GOP is ready to put everything on the table in this Supreme Court fight. They think this is something that's going to carry a lot of weight with them into the next election.
Briefly, Jonathan, do you think that Goodwin-Liu is going to get confirmed?
I hope he does, and I just can't imagine turning down an individual like this. You know, if you look at his resume, you could cut his resume into thirds, and it would be bigger than most resumes of judges that we've put on the court in the last 20 years. I mean, this guy has done an incredible amount in his lifetime. You turn down someone like Professor Liu, I don't know what you're saying about the quality of our courts or about the confirmation process, but it certainly is not nice.
Jonathan Turley, Professor of Constitutional Law at George Washington University. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, John.
Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, so tonight's Moment of Geek is both very sciencey and part of a delicious diet. And it answers an important question no one's ever really asked before, which is, which state has the geekiest legislature? Tonight, we nominate Wisconsin. By a vote of 56 to 41, the Wisconsin Assembly yesterday passed a bill to select the state's official microbe. A microbe, of course, is a microscopic organism you can't see with the naked eye. What is the Wisconsin state microbe? It's this really little guy, the Lactococcus lactis. Of course, as if some other microbe even had a chance. State Representative Gary Hebel explained, quote, "The first time I heard the idea, I thought I've got more important things to do than spending my time honoring a microbe. But this microbe is really a very hard worker." Lactococcus lactis is a very hard worker. It's a major deal in Wisconsin because it's critical in the production of cheddar, Colby, and Monterey Jack. In 2008, Wisconsin produced about 2.5 billion pounds of cheese. In order for milk to become cheese, it first goes through a process called acidification that gives cheese some of its flavor and helps the milk to coagulate. And it happens when an enzyme called rennet combines with lactic acid. And lactic acid occurs thanks to our heroic bacterial microbe, the Lactococcus lactis. If the state Senate goes along with this, the new official microbe will be in good company. Wisconsin also has an official state song, ballad, waltz, dance, beverage, tree, grain, flower, bird, fish, animal, domestic animal, wildlife animal, dog, insect, fossil, mineral, rock, fruit, and tartan, which makes me want our show to have those things too. We're going to start with the tartan, I think.